So, I mean, especially in early days for any early stage company, the credibility is not of the company but of the founder. I mean,
Founder.
there is actually no doubt about that.
Mhm.
So when I go sit to the table, yes, I represent SmartQ, but they're like, okay, what who are you for us to be able to trust you? What have you done? What is your pedigree, right?
Mhm.
And I think that has held me in good stead, I
Mhm.
would say.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the B2B SaaS podcast. I'm your host, Upendra Verma, and today we have Robin Singhwe with us. Robin here is the founder of a company called SmartQ. Hey, Robin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rupendra, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hi, Robin. So let help us understand, right? So what your product does and why customers are willing to pay you money.
So SmartQ helps teams create interactive self-serve demos with the goal of improving the quality of leads in their funnel. Right? We basically turn traditional product demos into personalized self-serve journeys that will significantly boost your lead conversion. That's what SmartQ does, and the reason people sign up for and pay us for the key reason really is that B2B buying behavior is now starting to look a lot more like B2C buying behavior, which means that people want to do their own discovery, do their own exploration, want to get a touch and feel experience of your product before they click on the book a meeting or sign up for a free trial button. And you as the seller need to enable the buyer as much as possible to be able to do that. Because if you do, then your sales cycle will be compressed. Your lead quality obviously is significantly improved. And that is the goal of every highly efficient sales team. Right. So that's the promise that we provide, and that's why we're able to sign on customers.
Got it, right? So if I'm a user of one of your customers, right, who's using you, right? So where exactly do I see this particular automated demo coming to me, an automated and personalized demo?
Yeah. So if you are the user at my customer,
Mhm.
right? So you will either be a marketer, right? So either a product marketer, demand gen person, or you might be part of customer success teams or product teams, right?
Mhm.
And where you will see the output of what you end up creating in SmartQ will vary depending on your function, but it actually goes all the way across the funnel. So right at the top of the funnel, when you are trying to embed these interactive showcases on your website or landing pages, or even inside of your ads, to if you're a demand gen person, you are embedding these demos inside of your cold outbound emails.
Mhm.
If you're a salesperson, you're embedding these in your follow up or leave behind assets after you've had a meeting with your customer. If you're
Mhm.
a customer support person or a product person, are using SmartQ to create or augment at least nodes, your sort of customer enablement materials. So
Got it.
it spans the entire funnel.
Makes sense, right? So, and I'm assuming a lot of people can use you, right? So everybody under the sun can use you, right, to create product demos. So I'm saying that because so I just want to understand your customer base so that I could really understand who you are trying to sell to. Right. So help me understand, right? Today, right? So who are you primarily selling to, and how many customers do you have on your platform as of today?
Sure, sure, sure. I mean, so that's an interesting question, right? So anyone under the sun can use me. Will anyone under the sun pay me? TBD,
Mhm.
right? But the folks who do pay me tend to be it's a spread right now in
Mhm.
terms of enterprise customers which have well-oiled marketing teams
Mhm.
to PLG companies or very small lean startups which are trying to optimize their marketing motion so that they're able to sort of get the best out of their existing resources and automate the stuff that they don't need to do. So it's kind of spread across the board. And of course, when I say my customers, all of them are selling some software of some
Yeah,
kind.
got it. And then just quantify this, right? So how many paying customers are we talking about today?
So we have about 30 odd paying customers,
And and
organizations.
and then how big are these deals, right? And I don't want the exact number, I'm just looking for the range. Are
Sure.
these $100 deals, $1,000 deals, $10,000 deals, $100,000 deals? What are we
So,
talking
so
about?
these depend, right? These depend on whether it's an enterprise or whether it's a smaller customer. Then we have, if you see on our website, we have plans that appeal to younger companies where we're giving it away for $400, $500 a year
Yeah.
for a couple of users to, 5 to 6 figure deals for larger enterprises.
Mhm. Got it. Right. So it's still the best is around, I think the enterprise deals are around $50,000-$60,000, right? Is that what I'm understanding? And you range from
Yeah, I think
300.
it depends. Again, it depends, right? It depends on the need, depends on the function, it depends on the number of licenses, it
Yeah,
depends
yeah.
on
So
the
I know
additional
there's gonna be a
services.
spread,
But yeah,
and I'm specifically trying to understand this because I want to understand your go-to-market motion after this, right? So I just want to
sure,
get a
sure,
sense
sure.
of like how many like how big of like how many enterprise deals you've cracked so far, right? So if it's a lot, then maybe we'll talk
Sure.
about that motion,
So
right?
yeah, I
If it
mean,
isn't,
when I talk about, yeah, it's 50-50 right now,
got it.
right?
So
In terms of enterprise versus smaller companies.
got it, right? And yeah,
And we
just
also have a long tail of sort of individual creators who are actually using the product as well. So there's like a significant number of those. So GTM actually, before we get into it, that is the next challenge that we are trying to solve. That which of these people do we target? Which are those going to be the most value for our efforts
mhm.
and things like that. So those are still things that we are in active discussions to figure out the right approach.
And then how old is your product? Like when have you launched it?
The product is actually only about 4 months old, maybe yeah, four now. We launched officially in like May, late May,
Mhm.
and so yeah, it's just been 3 to 4 months now.
And what did you do at launch happened?
So yeah, when we say launch, it's basically we launched on Product Hunt, we sort of amped up the product, uh, tried to create as much buzz around it as possible.
Mhm,
Used that launch to sort of um, get our name out there in front of the right customers, using that credibility of not just launching on Product Hunt, but also being product of the day
mhm.
on Product Hunt, right?
Yeah.
So leaning into that credibility to open a few more doors for us.
Yeah. So again, I just want to touch upon this, right? So because a lot of people, right,
Uh,
they just want to launch on product and they want to be the product of the day, right? They can't,
yeah.
right? So what has worked for you? What did you do there?
So interestingly enough, we actually launched on Product Hunt twice.
Okay.
One was I think last September, and then this May, April, May we launched. And the first time around, it was truly just brute force. It was literally just me and a couple of interns trying to make it happen. This time around, we kind of just took those learnings, tried to, make a playbook of
Hmm.
sorts,
Hmm.
and then try and execute that. Even so, being number one on product hunt is actually a lot of luck.
Hmm.
Uh, I'll be honest and say that yes, you can put in a lot of effort, but if a YC company or if a well-funded company comes to the door, and the odds are that you're not going to be able to catch up,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter whether you're number one or not.
Hmm.
What matters is if you can get enough people
Sure.
to know about the fact that you've launched and uh, more people having sort of affinity or recognition of the brand,
Yeah. So
right?
what
And
what
we were able to do
what
that.
worked for you this time, right? So any insight there, right? So just one if you were to pick.
There were quite a few, right? So this time around, we had our email list in order. We had, our Slack approaches and all the WhatsApp groups and stuff like that in order. We also ensured that we gave people a heads up. The last
Hmm.
time
Yeah.
around, we just launched and told people on the day of launch.
Yeah.
Whereas this time around, we had like a month-long plan that, hey,
Mhm.
we're going to launch. So first go on the coming soon page, create discussions on product hunt itself. A small thing that actually worked, and I think a lot of people should do is you go on product hunt, say you're coming soon. So there's an option to
Yeah.
go on there and say that you're coming soon. Then start commenting on a lot of other top products during that month. Because when
Hmm.
you do, it shows up, you show up as coming soon, and a lot of people go and sort of sign up to get notified. That actually led to a lot of people signing up to get notified. And that, I think that gave us a bit of a boost,
Got
which
it.
was new for us this time around. Yeah.
Got it. And that's wonderful. Right. So what did this product hunt bring, right? So how many signups did you get in like as a result of this?
Yeah. So this is interesting, right? Because one question is how did you launch in product hunt? But I think the more interesting question is that what did you get out of the product hunt launch?
Yeah.
And the answer varies for a lot of people. And for us, it was more of that there is a company that is doing some very interesting stuff in the demo automation space.
Hmm.
We got a bunch of signups, but like a lot of other companies, not all of them were good quality
Yeah.
signups, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but that kind of gave us impetus to sort of then go find the right communities, find the right people. A lot of technical folks or product folks who hang out on Product Hunt found us and then referred us to their marketing teams,
Mhm.
right? So in that sense, Product Hunt worked really well, but I wouldn't like necessarily quantify success on Product Hunt as the number of signups that got on Product Hunt, to be honest. Like we got thousands of signups, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, got it, right? So over the past 4 months, right, after you launched on Product Hunt, right? So what have you been doing in terms of, strictly from a top of funnel perspective, right? What's been working for you in terms of lead discovery?
Yeah. So, like I said, we're still very early, right? So our primary go-to market is still founder-led, which is me,
Mhm,
right? I have a monthly newsletter that goes out to 200 people. That actually has been my biggest lead gen engine
mhm,
because these are people who've been aware of and been on this journey with me.
okay.
And now that they see that, okay, we've gotten to a meaningful place in terms of product, in terms of funding, in terms of, closer to PMF, I wouldn't say at PMF.
Mhm.
I've been getting a ton of every time I send out this monthly newsletter just from them, right?
And then
Which is great because these are highly qualified leads
talk about this
and
newsletter,
warm
right? So
leads.
when have you been building this? Like when did you start and like who are these people? Who are this
So
audience?
yeah, so this started when I launched the company, and that was back in October 2021.
Okay.
And I'm a first-time founder, and I worked in enterprise. I've worked across a number of different startups, but sold to enterprises for the past 10, 12 years in the US.
Mhm.
And so I've been fortunate enough to have like a small set of trusted advisors, friends, you may call them.
Yeah.
And I figured that, hey, you know what? This newsletter was kind of a safe space for me
Mhm.
where I would tell them of all the things that I messed up, all the things I had no idea about, and all the things that I was taking a shot in the dark at,
Mhm.
right? And then it became a way for a solo founder like me to have like this informal but very vested group of advisors
Mhm.
who always kind of supported and led me down the right path. uh, as I started talking to other customers, other prospects, fellow founders, who I felt, resonated with me and really kind of wanted to support me, I started to add them newsletter with their permission. And now, yeah, like I said, it's about, a couple hundred people, but each of them I know personally, I could pick up the phone and talk to them. But especially being a founder, you just rarely have time.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is actually the one thing every month that I have to do without fail. That is drafted by me and not like an AI or like a ghostwriter or whatever. This is the one thing that I have to do without you. And I think it has paid off in spades.
And then how is it attributing to this user growth? Are they the ones who's trying out your product? Are they referring you just because they want to help you? Like how is that, funnel getting closed?
Yeah. So it is, while there are a subset of those folks who've ended up using SmartQ and their organizations, the bigger vote of confidence is that they've been referring me to other companies saying that, hey, you know what? I think this is a really good product. Not that, hey, I know this guy and he's a
Yeah.
good guy, so you should talk to him. The vote of confidence is for the problem that I'm solving and the product that I've built to solve that problem. Right. So that's the kind of warm introductions that are happening. And I'm kind of glad to say that 90% of my customers right now are folks who I never knew before.
Okay.
Right? It's not that, I knew this guy, so he used Smart Q and now he's paying.
And then
There are a few of those.
how many of them can you actually attribute to this wonderful effort of yours?
Yeah. I mean, like, out of the 30, 40 enterprise customers that we have, I want to say at least half, if not more,
Okay.
have come from this specific channel, right? So a lot of my revenue is actually related to that channel. And then the other, I mean, you're talking about go to market. The other thing that's worked for me is a twofold approach on LinkedIn. One is sort of trying to write content and establish thought leadership on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
setting myself up as, someone who is involved and deeply ingrained in the sales enablement, buyer enablement, demo automation space.
Mhm.
And also, on a more tactical level, like a lot of cold outreach,
Mhm.
right? So that's the challenge that's worked for me. Now the challenge is that how do I move from being founder led
Mhm.
to having a true GTM motion in
Yeah.
place, right? So that's something that I'm figuring out as I go.
Yeah. And then just help us understand, right, the sales cycle so far, right? I mean, you might have closed, 10 to 20
Mhm.
of these deals, right? So however big they are, right? So how have you managed to close this? I mean, what happened there?
So like I said, right? So I've done enterprise sales all my life. Like
Yeah.
that's interestingly enough, a lot of people have advised me to go the PLG route for SmartQ. And while that could potentially work, I don't know anything about PLG,
Mhm,
right? What I do know is the enterprise motion,
mhm,
right? And and I'm sure all sales are like that, but especially enterprise sales are all about being diligent, being proactive, and just being very methodical,
yeah.
right? It's like when you follow, when you think of a prospect becoming, going through your funnel,
Mhm,
it takes a while, right? Like there are times when, I spoken to someone about 8 months ago,
mhm,
and I just nurtured him for 8 months.
mhm.
As opposed to when you think of, like, a lot of cold email sequences, like 6, 8, 10, and you're done, right?
Yeah.
Over a 2 month, 3 month period.
Yeah.
But in enterprise sales, it's not that. Like, you just have to keep engaging them, and not with, hey, can we sell now? Can you buy now? Can you buy now? It's just more about relationship building first,
Mhm.
establishing that level of trust, confidence that, Robin actually knows what he's talking about or the problem that he's solving,
Yeah.
and he is knowledgeable enough to understand my problem,
Yeah.
right? So once you're able to do that, then you bring them to the table, and then when you bring them to the table, it's a pretty straightforward sort of, in the sense that, there's processes that you have to follow to sort of
Yeah.
get things over them, right? So
So
whether it is following up consistently. Sorry, go ahead, finish.
yeah, so Robin, so have you raised any external funding so far?
I went through a accelerator program, and I also raised a little bit of funding from some angels from my network back in the US, but
Mhm.
not a whole lot, very small. And that
Okay,
was
so
last
I'm
couple
asking
of
you
years.
this question, right? Because one of the things that I've
Yes.
observed a lot of founders do, right? So they start a company, right? So and they're going through this enterprise sales motion. The top of funnel, yes, they can handle, right? A bunch of cold emails, a bunch of cold outreach on LinkedIn, you can get there, right?
Yeah.
But everything else after that, it falls apart, right? Because they'll say, okay, you're not credible enough that I go and close a $20,000 deal with you, right? So like, what's working for you? Just
Right.
talk us through that, process, and what's really working for you, and what are we missing here?
So it's interesting you say that, because my challenge is actually the reverse. Like I stay awake at night that my funnel is not full enough, right? Because my confidence in my sort of in my ability is that if someone comes to a door, I'll be able to close a deal with them. And it's also interesting, what enterprise deals are for SmartQ versus what I used to sell, like, going from $1 million deals to, 20, 30, 40, 100,
Yeah,
200K deals. These are
yeah,
actually smaller size deals. So,
yeah.
so for me, I'm like, man, this should not be a big deal. Uh, but so I have the reverse problem where
But
I'm like,
but
okay,
but
yes, I
back
was
then
sales.
but back then when you were selling $1 million deals, right? I mean, you must have this fancy product out there that everybody in the world knows, right? I mean, you were dealing with a different spectrum, right? So now you are this solo founder, or and you this founder, you just got this new company. I mean, it's just brand new,
Yeah,
right? So there is no
yeah.
credibility, or I mean, or how are you building that credibility? Like, so what's like that's what I'm talking about, like, and how you overcoming those?
Yeah. So, I mean, especially in early days for any early stage company, the credibility is not of the company but of the founder. I mean,
Founder,
there
right?
is actually no doubt about that.
Mhm.
So when I go sit to the table, yes, I represent SmartQ, but they're like, okay, what who are you for us to be able to trust you? What have you done? What is your pedigree, right?
Mhm.
And I think that has held me in good stead, I
Mhm.
would say, so far. So yeah, I mean, I, I unfortunately don't know the answer to the problem that a lot of other founders face, but I would love to learn from them how to sort of fill up my top of the
But I
funnel.
think you, in a way, answered it, right? So you talked about
Mm.
positioning yourself as a thought leader in that particular space, right? So I guess you must have raised a couple of rounds of funding, or couple of known angels that may be adding credibility over there, and you obviously are an expert in enterprise sales, right? So maybe that is helping you out. So, but yeah, that's a
It's
great,
the whole package, right? I mean, there's
yeah.
a, there's a lot of things. I think we said it, right? It's about positioning and the brand that you cultivate, even if it's early on.
And Robin, like, how big is the team today?
The team is very lean. We had 3 people, and then a rotating door of interns and contractors as needed.
Who's building the software?
Yeah, so my CTO and I have a team which is augmented with external folks from time to time.
Got it. Right. So what's the next big, milestone you're targeting, and how do you intend to get there? What's the vision?
Yeah, so yeah, and the next big milestone is twofold. One is we need to have 100 organizations on SmartQ by March of 2024. So
That's a
the
million
next
dollar in
8
revenue
months.
you're talking about, right? So 100 deals, around 10,000.
Probably more.
Okay.
Probably more. But yeah, so like that's the goal, that if we hit 100 uh, specific sized organizations giving us specific revenue, then we'll be a very robust and healthy
Yeah.
uh, company, which will allow us to choose our path,
Yeah.
which is either raising more funds on our own terms, hopefully, or being a very sort of robust and viable business,
Yeah.
traditional or otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's the
and
plan.
and you intend to do that all by yourself, like in terms of, selling all of these deals.
I mean, no, of course we'll have a team.
Yeah.
We will definitely need a team to do that. A part of the activities that are happening right now is figuring out the motion, that okay, how do you go from founder led to a proper sales engine or an organization, right? So what are the
Yeah.
processes? Like I spend a lot of days, especially weekends, going through all of the calls that I've done and trying to find patterns and a process that I can document
Yeah.
for whoever I bring, like my first SDR of or my first lead.
Yeah.
So that's the obvious next step, that we need to build a team both on the GTM side of the house and on the tech side of the house.
Got it. All right, Robin. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Hope you scale SmartQ to much, much greater heights.
Thank you. No, this was great. I enjoyed it.